Hi everyone, welcome back. We're really pleased to be back with you again tonight. As our title suggested, before you set another goal, there are a few things you need to consider. So we're often told that in order to be happy and successful, that we need to set goals in order to be happy and achieve them. The problem is that they miss a few steps. So we're told that the bigger the goal, the happier we're going to be when we achieve it. And to an extent, there is truth to that, because when we do set ourselves a goal and we work our way to achieve it, and we do have that sense of accomplishment. So again, we like to share story. I think it's a way in which we can sort of convey give best examples of what we're talking about. So as Stephen mentioned, in a previous live, for about 5 years, I competed in figure division and bodybuilding competitions. And each, that's a very time limited. So we're told with goals, they need to be SMART goals. So it's a time limited thing. So you've got usually anywhere between 12 to 16 weeks of preparation. And you know very clearly what your end result is going to be, or what you hope it's going to be, and you work towards it. And if you don't achieve it, you're in a bit of trouble, because I've got to tell you now, those bikinis aren't very big and you're on stage in front of a lot of people. So
There's nowhere to hide.
There is nowhere to hide, and you work pretty hard in order to achieve it. Now, don't get me wrong, when I stood up on stage, each of the times I competed, I had a sense of accomplishment. I'd set myself a goal. I worked really hard in order to achieve it. I was very hangry. And, it wasn't without its issues physically or mentally, really.
Yeah.
Again, probably another live. And I did feel that sense of achievement. But I got to tell you, it wasn't this all-encompassing warm glow that I thought perhaps it would be. I ended up feeling like there was something that was missing. And so what I did was I would then set myself a bigger goal, thinking, well, maybe my goals just weren't big enough. So if I set myself a bigger goal, surely when I achieve that, then I'll be happy. And that's often the pattern. How many of you have ever done that? You've set yourself a goal, you thought, once I achieve that goal, and it doesn't have to be health and fitness related, it can be anything. Once I achieve that, I'll be happy then. So I'll find the perfect relationship. I'll buy that blue sports car that I've always wanted, and then I'm going to be happy. And we get it.
It was a nice car.
Yeah, it was a very nice car. So we get that thing that we think we want. We achieve that goal, and we'll feel a sense of accomplishment, and we'll feel happy. But it doesn't last.
No. And really, because we misunderstand goals for what they really are. Most of us think that a goal is the destination. And in reality, it's simply a vehicle in order for you to help you to fulfill your vision and your values. And so most people set goals without really knowing or understanding what their values are. Why are they setting the goal? And oftentimes they will get to a place where they realize that it didn't actually give them what they thought or hoped it would. And so, as Michelle said, they set another goal. And there's nothing wrong with setting goals and achieving them. It gives you a tremendous amount of fulfillment and accomplishment just through that. But to really take advantage and to take it to another level, before you set your goal, you need to understand why you want to achieve that particular thing. And there's really two main components. On one hand, you have your conscious wants, and they consist of financial freedom, relationships, health and well-being. They're the three main ones. There is a fourth one, which is purpose. And that we're going to talk about in another video, because that's a huge topic on its own that has a lot of misconceptions around it. But we'll stick with these ones first. And usually with financial freedom, there's an idea of how much money you need in order for you to be safe and secure in order to be able to pay your bills and live the lifestyle that you want. I mean, it could be anywhere from $60,000 a year, or in a lot of cases, it's millions of dollars a year. And in terms of relationships, it could be that you think that finding the perfect partner is the goal, and that will give you what you want. Or having great relationships with your family and friends will give you what you want. And the third one is health and well-being. So, and in that category is what you look like. And a lot of people think that if they were a certain size, life would make sense. Everything would fall into place, and they'd be happy and fulfilled, and the world would be a great place to live in. However, there's more to the story than just these conscious wants.
So we have are core needs, and this is really, I guess, the heart of what we need to consider. So that's fine. We've got financial freedom, for instance, or health and well-being, but that in itself, they're usually what we use to set our goals, by the way, that we set our goals with this much money, this number of kilos I want to lose, or whatever it might be. But the problem is that that's as far as we go. We don't go any deeper than that. And the real wisdom, the real skill to setting goals is to delve deeper and look at our core needs, which is identifying, as Stephen said, our values. Now, to put it in another way, it's really the why. What feeling, and we spoke about this even with gratitude, what feeling is it that you think achieving this particular thing is going to give you? Because that's really your driving force. That's really what determines whether or not you're going to feel fulfilled at the end of it or not, or where you go looking in order to have that fulfilled. So our core needs really are things like feeling free, feeling safe, accepted, respected, acknowledged, appreciated, and loved. So everything, generally speaking, comes back to one of those core needs on some level. Now, a lot of them too, and it's something that I just thought of as I was looking, as going through that list, a lot of them, they're not cut and dry, they're not black and white. It's all about perception. So I could be very much appreciated and valued by people, but if I don't perceive that I am, then quite often I don't feel fulfilled. To use that example of the competing, now I understand that, first of all, I never really set myself a goal when I started training at the gym to compete. I had finished many, many years of competitive ice skating. I had always been active all the way through my life, and I was looking for something to do. So I joined a gym, and as you usually do when you join a gym, you get personal training sessions. And from there, the personal trainer said to me, "You're going to compete." First of all, my initial reaction was I actually laughed, because the idea of getting up on stage in a bikini for everyone to pick apart every aspect of your body, not my idea of fun. And in hindsight, probably not the healthiest thing for someone who had an eating disorder to do. However, so what I'm saying is it wasn't even really my goal to begin with. And there's a saying, there's something that someone, I think his name was Merton, I can't remember, I think Thomas Merton might be. And he was saying that we constantly climb these ladders to success, only to reach the top and realize that it's in the wrong position. The destination isn't where we wanted to go. Don't get me wrong, I learned a lot through competing. I learned a lot about myself. I did, as we said earlier, I did get that sense of accomplishment, but it wasn't going to give me the feeling of being loved or appreciated for who I was. If anything, it kind of drew the opposite for a while, because the nature of the sport is that it's about picking apart all the faults. Now, that's not what a person who wants to feel accepted is going to feel gratified, is going to feel content with. And so you need to have that understanding of what it is that you're really seeking in order to really set the SMART goals. So a SMART goal isn't necessarily just because it follows an acronym. A SMART goal is made with a clear understanding of what the core need is that you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the examples that I give to people is that, because I work with very successful and wealthy people, and people from the outside will look at these individuals and think their life is perfect, and they have all the money in the world, all the success, they have great family and friends, and pretty much everything that you would expect for someone to have. But so often that these people spend an enormous part of their life trying to achieve this goal of success, only to get there and find that it wasn't what they thought it was, and that piece of them that was missing is still missing. The millions of dollars and the huge amounts of prestige and acknowledgement and fame didn't really fulfill that need, whatever the need was. They didn't even realize they had a need. They just thought that it was success, it was money, that once I achieve that, everything will fall into place. And so that's why they come to me, and I can show them that what they were trying to achieve, it was a bit misguided in the way that they were trying to achieve it. Not that it's not good to pursue wealth or success or whatever it is. No, the opposite. I mean, most people, if you give them a choice, they would rather be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy. I mean, that's, I think Oprah said something like that. But it's the idea that all your values, all your self-worth, everything that makes sense to you is invested so much into this particular goal that will never, ever give you what you actually need. It will give you all the things that you want, perhaps, the nice cars, the boats, the expensive holidays, but it won't give you what you need at your core level. So, and this is where most people fall over, because they set goals based on their conscious wants rather than their subconscious needs. And what happens is usually they'll either fail to achieve those goals, or they'll achieve them and, as I said, realize it wasn't what they thought it was. It didn't give them what they really hoped it would. And so the only thing you can do really is, before you take steps to achieve your goal, ask, what is it that I'm trying to fulfill? What value, what need am I trying to fulfill? And you need to dig a little bit deeper than the superficial level of wants. And so if I achieve this goal of having millions of dollars, what am I actually trying to achieve? Is it having lots of money so I can buy things? Answer is usually no. Or is it that I'm trying to find some kind of security, some kind of peace, some kind of safety, freedom, options to have, because money buys you options. That's pretty much all it does. Is it the options that I want? And so once you make that clear to yourself, the goal itself has less meaning than what you're actually trying to achieve. In other words, it becomes a vehicle. It's not the final destination. And because it's only a vehicle, it can change along the way. Along the way, you can decide, hey, this vehicle doesn't really feel right, or my sense of who I am has changed, and so my values have changed. What I want has changed. So I'm going to jump off this vehicle and onto another one. And that's all goals really are. And so keep that in mind when you set your next goal, that if you align your actions with your values, that will create your vision. And your vision is a combination of all your values. It's not a particular image. It's not a particular thing. It's not the big house. It's not the perfect relationship. It's not the size 8 that you're trying to achieve. It really isn't. It's what you actually need at a core level.
So I guess before you set another goal, as the title says, what we'd like you to do is to really have a look at those, have a think about those core needs that we identified, and have a think about sort of almost an exercise of just ranking them into what you value most highly all the way down. And the order will be completely different depending on who you are, your experiences, your upbringing, a whole range of things. So for instance, security would be higher on my list than on Stephen's. He loves uncertainty and adventure, and that freedom, where I was sort of raised a little bit differently to kind of really, you have to be safe, you have to be secure. So for me, security, even though I've changed and my experiences have changed, it still ranks fairly highly for me. And so if I understand that, I can work with it. So have a think about those needs. And as I said, it's not a definitive list. You could write a whole range of different core needs, because everyone's is going to be completely different. But the main ones are that sense of freedom, safety or security, acceptance, love, acknowledgement, value, to feel valued or worthy, appreciated, or even, as Stephen said, linked to that idea of purpose, to have some kind of impact on others, almost like leaving a legacy. So if you think about those and can almost identify, say, your top 3 or 4, you'll then be able to use them when you're setting your goals, and again, use them in order in your anchoring to keep, so that when things get a little bit sort of difficult or life jumps in, to bring you back to understanding why it is that you wanted to achieve that particular goal, and remind yourself, so you can use it as an anchoring thing to stay the course or to stay on track. So a little bit of homework tonight, just to have a think about before you jump in and set yourself another goal. Goals are great. But you need to make sure that they're smart and not just using the sort of old acronym that we've always looked at in terms of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time limited. So make sure they're also aligned to your values and you understand your why and your vision, and you'll be much more likely to achieve them. And when you achieve them, feel a sense of contentment or satisfaction that is longer lasting as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you would like to find out more about what we do, or more about the Be Free online program, if you can either send us a message on Facebook or comment below, or visit us at livewiseproject.com. We hope you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.